What the hell, guys? You're all wound up today. Man, there's, lots of chat. I'm not used to that. That's cool. Having a good week, guys? Hopefully. Got fans this week? I don't know, guys. Video views were pretty low, but if you were all in the stream, I guess that's fine. I did a lot of like decluttering this week and deep cleaning. Like under the kitchen sink, took everything out, scrubbed it, vacuumed it, and then put everything back in a more like organized manner and got rid of over half of what was there. Sometimes we save our old toothbrushes for like scrubbing and stuff. And I think we had about 30 under the sink. So it's been a long time since we did the deep cleaning, and that's way too many extra toothbrushes. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of decluttering and stuff everywhere except for my own studio, which is, but I'm feeling that. Like I've got this box of guitar picks and some of these, but it's too many. I don't use most of them, and some of them I've had since high school. I don't know if I should just get rid of all of them and start fresh. As this stuff piles up, it takes a toll on your brain in a little bit, I think. I think that when you can organize something, it also helps you organize your mind. Chris says, I'm in a major whole house decluttering and basic repairs along is what I find. It's been a slog. When it goes on for weeks. Yeah, an hour here or there, that's cool, but like sometimes it's an all-day process. So like Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, that was kind of my thing. And then yesterday, I kind of took the day off from that. But I woke up this morning and I didn't want to stream, but I see all of you guys happy to talk and everything. So that makes me want to stream. Let's just do a quick news things. The only news thing that I have on the list today. If you are a KVR Audio member, you get iZotope RX Elements free. To be honest, I might already have this RX Elements. Maybe not version 10, but I'm going to put this link in the chat. If you have not gotten iZotope RX 10 yet, or RX 10 Elements, I will say the last time I upgraded my RX version, I need to go to RX 9. What I found the best way, or the cheapest way, was actually to buy RX Elements and then pay for an upgrade to go from, I think it was version 8 up to 9 standard. Strangely, it ended up being like half the price. And they also, if you sign up for this, you get into a draw for Complete 14 Ultimate Collector's Edition. Whatever the hell that means. I remember when Complete came out on a bunch of DVDs, and it was like a 2-day process to get it installed. Now it's at least downloads. You can choose what you want or don't want. For the digital hoarder, for the music production hoarder, Complete Collector's Edition has everything. 103 expansions. Like, you basically have to take your whole next year to try everything for 5 minutes. Oh yeah, Craig Anderton. Yeah, he's been around forever. I actually have an old textbook here somewhere. Not textbook, but like a book on recording that he wrote. Have I tried Audium Acoustic Design Tools or any others from the chat? Whom in the chat has made their own acoustic panels? Okay, I don't know what Audium Acoustic Design Tools is, but I have made my own acoustic panels. Not the ones you see here, but all the generic ones around the room that you see. So the black one, hey, you can see Beans. He's going to his bed right now. This one, I mean, it's just a piece of fiberglass with a frame around it, and you stretch some fabric around it. It's pretty simple, about as simple as it can be. But I have a feeling that Audium Acoustic Design Tools probably has some extra stuff. So let's look that up right now. Room mode calculator and some other things. Okay, yeah, that looks good. The one that I recommended before was from Acoustics. But this is just for rectangular rooms. I like this website a lot. I think it does a great job. But if this is a tool that lets you do, any shape of room, oddly shaped, L-shaped rooms, things like that, seems cool. And what are the other tools that they have? IR analysis. Do I know the Acoustics Insider YouTube channel? I don't. I interviewed someone else, Wilson Harwood from Soundproof Your Studio. I interviewed him in 2022. He's got a YouTube channel. He's pretty active on it, posting a couple times a month on his home soundproofing of his studio, and he also helps other people with their studio in the, I want to say Nashville area. It might not be Nashville, but he's got a lot of good, useful information. Yeah, so check him out. It seems like this stuff is like free for a limited time. This is a new thing. Seems like it's worth doing. Adam Steele is quitting YouTube for a full-time Audium gig. Video was not clickbait. Ah, that's interesting. Good for him. He was fairly successful, but full-time gig, he's still working in audio. I think that's interesting. No shame in that. I don't know if I could go back to working for someone else. Been so long. He might still stream occasionally or make videos occasionally. Do you think you get much work through your YouTube channel? I get some, lots of lessons. So people will see a video and, well, actually I get some just basically my first contact with them is like they found my sign up page on Google and they'd never seen any of my videos before. But I would say that's less common than people seeing a video, realizing that I know what I'm talking about with Reaper, and then they contact me to answer specific questions or just get them running quickly. So, yeah, I do that a lot. But mixing and mastering work, that's a lot less common these days. I used to be like, from like 2010 to 2019, maybe, I was more like audio engineer first and then YouTube second, and then it flipped. YouTube became more, I don't know, well, it took up a lot more of my time, and it was a different creative process that I enjoyed more. So I got pretty sick of doing the low budget Craigslist vocal session. So many of those go badly. Yeah, I haven't advertised for like mixing, mastering work in a really long time. I really should get back into it. Because that's one of the things that the people making YouTube videos always get criticized about is like, if there's such a great audio engineer, why would they would be too busy to make videos? And fair enough, it definitely switched for me, like how busy I was. I used to make videos about the sessions that I was doing. And then it became that I was too busy making videos to do sessions. So fair enough. There's definitely a lot to being able to teach things to people. And maybe you're not the best in the world at the thing, but you're probably better than the person learning it for the first time. Yeah, it's a whole thing. I got a lot of thoughts on it. I can't always get them out in a streamlined way. But if someone's like just getting started in home recording, sometimes someone that has just gotten started, like just a couple weeks ahead of them, or maybe a year ahead of them, they actually have better answers than somebody that's been working in a professional studio for 30 years. The amateur is sometimes better teaching other amateurs to a certain point. Chat's going so fast today, I'm not used to it. It's actually awesome. Lots of people making their own acoustic panels. I think everyone should. It's so easy. It allows you to add a lot of personality to your studio. You know, the colors that you choose and things like that. Obviously, a plain black acoustic panel has no personality, but you could screen print it, you could spray paint it, You could choose any color at all, really. I don't think the choice of fabric matters that much, as long as it's not something like vinyl where it's going to reflect a lot of sound, but just any sort of like cotton, loose knit sort of polyester kind of thing. That's all fine. I don't think the choice of fabric matters that much. This red panel here, that's an old bed sheet, reusing some fabric that I had. My acoustic cloud, more black fabric. Some of the fabric I bought originally was labeled as speaker cloth. So it's acoustic free, transparent. But then since then, I've got other black fabric just from, thrift store, just ends of the roll sort of things. And it doesn't make a difference. It all works. I've also seen like really sort of like 80s looking or early 90s sort of weird graphics. If you have a certain style for your studio, with your lighting, with your furniture, things like that, that can extend to your acoustic panels. Get some cool looking fabric. If you're on the fence about making acoustic panels, just do it. It's not that expensive, and it makes such a big difference in how your studio looks and feels, and it improves the sound of everything that plays from your speakers and everything in a microphone. It's so worth it. If anyone has questions that I've missed, let's put them in now again in case I missed them. So going back to the acoustic panels, I first used white thinking about illusion of space in small room. Wife said it looked like a padded room for an insane asylum. I think if you're doing solid white, it probably needs a bit of color. So if it was solid white, I would do like purple stripes or something like that, personally. You can add in a little bit of accent stripes or something like that. You could spray paint it. Some really nice, clean lines would, especially if you have multiple acoustic panels and you can extend a design across multiple, that would be really cool. I sacrificed sound and acoustics to get a window view to park. Cool. Yeah, natural light and stuff makes a big difference. The way that I had my studio a year and a half ago, it was like too dark and too cramped. So I've got so much space now. I can extend my arms. I can move my chair back. Where before I could barely move at all, and it was so dark, and I changed the lighting. But yeah, I've got natural light over here, and it's nice. In my old place, on my left side, I had a very busy road. And so there would be like these flashes of light as cars drive by, and it'd be very annoying. Am I going to do another quiz? I would like to do another quiz. I thought that was a pretty fun stream. It was pretty easy to make overall. There's no way for me to make money from doing the quizzes, but they were fun to make. So I don't know. I'd probably need someone to collaborate with to make a good quiz. Anyone know how to add MX Tuner on a track in Reaper? I don't know about MX Tuner. What is MX Tuner? Suzuki motorcycles. Oh, right. This thing. Simple utility for the Media Explorer to determine the key of samples. All right, so I don't have Reaper open yet. I think I've done this before. Oh, that's awesome. Reaper crashed while opening. I know exactly why it's doing that. So MX Tuner is a script. So we'll go to the Media Explorer and open the action list and MX Tuner. Run. You're using the FTC algorithm, which is now deprecated. Switch to new, yes. Okay. And then you would right click, window, dock window, and try to find a spot where that makes sense. I don't really know. I don't know how to make it look like they've done. Oh, they've got the Media Explorer up here. There we go. I think it's something like that. So hopefully that answers your question. First, you install it through Repack. Then you go to the Media Explorer, open the action list, make sure you're on Media Explorer. MX Tuner should be there. And then you can dock that. Should be it.
A lot of you out there are throwing your money away.
Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate it. Xtouch and UCSI was the best online source for learning and optimizing. I also have the Xtouch and UCSI. There's a bunch of previous streams where I talk about it. I don't have a dedicated video really for it. We go to links.com, CSI v3. This is fairly updated. This was end of March. No, May. So in this stream here, I do an overview of CSI at some point. Oh yeah, I talk about how to install it and things like that. But it's not the full tutorial. I still haven't done that. I don't know why I haven't done it. Just mental issues. So this is a place you can go for that. I also put in a custom shortcut, reaper.blog/CSI. And that takes you to the GitHub. Wiki. This is frequently updated. There's a search. There's lots of pages. Great resource. But it's a lot of reading. Once you get it installed, like through my video, through what you see in my video, all the rest is customizing it for what you want. You don't have to customize it at all. It works pretty well even without customizing. But if there's certain buttons and things that you want to change, everything's possible in there. Oh, I have an idea. Where's that button?
Behold my stuff.
All right, so let's talk about some stuff. This week, I went over to the local thrift store, and they had some vintage slide boxes for between $4 and $6 a piece. They had a bunch of them. I bought two for $6 a piece. I just like the colors. It's sort of like a bluish gray. And I've got my guitar repair kit in this one. I don't have a planned use for the other one yet. When I bought them, I was originally thinking microphones, and they're also metal boxes, and I'm trying to make a metal box sound pack, sound library. I also got a typewriter, which was working up until dinner time yesterday. Yeah, it's a 1960s Commodore typewriter. It's actually awesome. I really like it. But at this point, it needs a deep clean and repair. So I'm going to bring that over here. Yeah, so before the Commodore 64, Commodore made typewriters and then calculators before getting into full computers. But the carriage thing came off. I'm not really sure what this bit of fishing line was connected to. This will replace Twitter for me. It doesn't seem to have a number 1 key. I don't know if it doesn't look like it's missing anything, but it doesn't have a number 1. L is number 1. Anyone around in the 60s that knows about these? This was $15. This whole thing came off. Yeah, and this part was bent. This should be straight, and it hides inside that. So definitely a big cleaning job, and I will. It makes awesome sounds that I can't show you right now, but I would like to. Lowercase L would be used for 1 unless you see an armature broken off where 1 is supposed to be. Interesting. Old typewriters used an L instead of a 1. I actually haven't even looked up other typewriters. So this is what I found on the typewriters. So this is the model. Hey, Yeah, there's no number one there. The Lamb of God sound engineer used to layer typewriter clicking to kick drums. That sounds like something Machine would do. They had another typewriter there that was, actually don't know the model, but it was $60, and I'm tempted to go get that one as well. Just, typewriters make awesome sounds. So many mechanical sounds. I think they're amazing, amazing mechanical engineering. Like, the amount of features packed into something that small. Everything's mechanical. Everything's got springs and bits of chrome, and it works still after all these years, other than completely falling apart that one time. But yeah, it's awesome. I wouldn't buy it to like fix up and resell likely, but I like it. The soundtrack to Atonement has great typewriter polyrhythms with orchestration. That's cool. Yeah, that's really cool. 100 secretaries typing at the same time on a mechanical typewriter. That would be rough. I'd also like to try one of the old word processors. Before, like, computers were used for writing documents, there was a time where between typewriters and computers, there was word processors. I think they even had spell check built in, but you could type something, see it on a little LCD, and then print it, and it would mechanically type it out. I'm pretty sure that's how it went. Maybe there was dot matrix printers attached. I think it's pretty neat. That's definitely a forgotten technology. Anyway, what were we doing? Why did I open Reaper? So this is another, like, it's a slide box. So inside, there's this yellow plastic. These are in, like, amazing condition. These are also from the 60s. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with these. They seem like a good size for pencil mics, shotgun mics, things like that. The temptation to buy 4 more of them, it's real. Must reclutter, yeah. Clean up all the old blankets, get them in vacuum bags. Now there's more room for synths and metal boxes that have nothing in them. But it's a great deal. I actually got my some of my Temu order in. Got the I got this, I don't know what you call it. It's like this plastic sheath that you can hide cables inside. So I've put that up in a couple spots around the desk where it makes sense. I'll probably do a lot more. I've got like 15 feet of it or something like that. It's not going to be helpful in the synth station, which is the most cable clutter, but modular synths and etc. You can't really do much. I got one of these like string mute things for the $5 or whatever it is on Temu. I think it's worth it, and it comes in a bunch of different colors. And the other thing on this guitar, I added this little Skeletor hugging a cat. Focus on it. Well, you'll have to believe me. It's a Skeletor hugging a cat. The guitar mute things, they actually do work. And I've never really done it. I'm not good at tapping, but I see people will slide that down to more like the middle of the neck. This Jackson guitar and some of my other guitars really have a lot of string noise at the headstock. When you're doing palm mutes, that kind of comes through. The one from Temu is pretty similar to the one from Groove Gear, I think it's called. They both work well. One's a third of the price, so I would say. I used one for a bit, but it became a pain when I wanted to rerun cable. Going to be using self-attaching super thin Velcro one wrap and tying off at intervals from undoing. Good idea, yeah. That's one of those things you want to figure out in a new install, but just temporary, I like this wrap stuff. So, what sort of noise can we get into today? what can we do? So let's say you have a sound like this. What can we do with this? How do we get the most out of this sound? Let's make a copy and we'll do different effects on different tracks. Let's try playing this at half speed. We could do this by double-clicking, unchecking preserve pitch, and set the playback rate to 0.5, and then hit OK. I'll just adjust the length here. And so playing this back at half speed, there's some interesting stuff in there. Depending on your sample rate, you could go another step further and play it back at a quarter speed. Each time you do that, you are losing high frequencies. So let's take that and we'll play this at 1/4 speed, spectrum analyzer. So as I play the first one, you can see on the spectrum analyzer, there are frequencies all the way up to 24K. If we play it back half speed, it cuts off a lot lower. And again. So that's just a matter of the original sample rate. We recorded this at 48K. If we recorded it at 96K, we could play it back at half speed and still have frequencies up to 20K rather than being cut off around 10 or 12K. What do we like more? I kind of like the half speed. And it's also worth doing these at double speed as well. So I actually have shortcuts here for this. Yeah, so playing at 2x speed. Kind of cool. And then this one here. Let's play it at 4x. There's some interesting stuff happening there. Let's try making a loop. So I've got repeat turned on. And here. That kind of has an interesting rhythm to it. So let's take that and let's just duplicate that and see how that sounds. For musical sound design, sometimes it is just that sort of simple. And there's some tricks to finding the BPM and things like that. But you could put in kick and snare and stuff like that. Let's just spend like, I don't know, 30 seconds on that. Let's get a... Let's just add in a kick and snare real quick. Close that. Probably going to sound terrible, but... doing this without a grid, so why am I doing this? This is a complete distraction. Let's detect sample rate or tempo and grid. Okay. Obviously, it sounds stupid, so don't do that. Sometimes you get inspiration from just like grabbing a little sound and looping it. Anyway, moving on. Here's our original sound again. Let's take this original sound and then do a volume envelope on it. So I'm going to take the take volume envelope, which puts in a little line there. So I'll put in a point there and let's sort of change the shape of this. Holding down Alt, I can change the tension of these points. And you can make these sort of pass-by sorts of sounds. However, it's not really a pass-by because it's mono and it's not affecting pan. So we could do, let's add in, let's do track pan, may as well. So let's start it on the left and then bring it over to the right. Okay. And Jason was saying, let's throw a Haas effect on it. Okay, so we'll go redelay. And I've got a preset here for medium Widener, which is just a 14 millisecond delay on the right side. No filtering or anything like that. Kind of cool. I think the tension of this pan is a little off. And, you know, this is a situation where pan law might make a difference. So let's try linear taper, I don't know, 3. Sometimes it makes a difference. You don't always hear it. Let's do a linear. Let's try like whipping more. You know, I think I do like the S curve more. So let's change that point shape to slow start end. Okay, and then on the track level, let's add some reverb. Let's do the kilohertz. I don't really like the panning. It's a little off. That's a bit better. Throw a Haas on it, reverb, supermassive, spaces of place. If you have a panning plugin, I'd automate that regarding the pan law issue. Yeah, good point. Yeah, you can definitely use a pan plugin. There's a Pan Man. Reaper's got, what is it, Volume Pan Smoother V5. You can automate the pan here instead, and this one has pan law adjustment. Sometimes it depends on if you want to do all of your processing on the items versus the tracks. Without the effects on it, sounds like this. And with the effects on it, sounds like this. Which sounds all right. Yeah, to be honest, the pan should be on. Let's clear the envelope. Bring that back to center. Let's adjust the panning on the take envelope because we do want that before the reverb. So let's do all the way up and then point here all the way down. That sounds much better. Now, what if we did a 30-second note sort of pan shape? This is a situation where copying and pasting envelope points on items is really a pain. So actually, while I do like that, I would rather use automation items for this. So let's go back to the volume pan smoother. Okay. And we'll put this before the reverb. And I'll take this pan control and I will add an envelope. Okay, so volume pan smoother, I'm going to put in a automation item like this. And then on here, you could do things like create an LFO. So we're going to do a, I don't know, parametric. Why not? And we're going to make it lots of cycles. 31 cycles, sure. And we will set this to full amplitude, and we will do an amplitude skew like this. So it actually gets wider. Something like that. Let's do that and then reverse this one. There's a reverse, isn't there? I guess I just need to set this to -87. Something like that. So there's a little more movement and it's a little more erratic. Definitely a thing you can do is add compression or add distortion, things like that. So let's make another copy of this whole thing. And on the effects chain for the item, I will add in a distortion. So kilohertz distortion we'll put on there. Different modes. I like the sine mode quite a lot. And this is sort of a bit crushing kind of thing. All right, back to the sine mode. Okay, so as I'm moving the drive control, I can kind of get some interesting sounds. So you could just record that in if you wanted. So let's go to, I'm going to set my global mode to latch. Okay, and then back to read. So it adds in some motion there. Jason mentioned Snap Heap. Snap Heap is like the ultimate modulation tool for the kilohertz plugins. So instead of moving things manually, writing automation points, you can have envelope followers, you can have tempo synced stuff, you can modulate other modulators. It can do a million things. But if we're just thinking more simply and focus more on tools in Reaper, then yeah, automation items, automation envelopes by writing it. Depends on where in the chain you are. So this is a item effect. It only affects this item here. So the envelope has to be on the item. If I went to track controls, I could do that. I didn't because I wanted to hear one with distortion, one without. So without. Cool. Let's do another. I'm just doing this as a way to go back and sort of show the process of coming up with a sound, seeing where each important step happens. You don't have to do it like this. You could just have the one sound and just layer things. But sometimes it's cool to have different variations. Let's try OTT. That's a classic plugin that you either love or you hate. Let's do it. Let's do it after the reverb. Let's see what it's like after reverb. I don't really want it everywhere, but whatever. Huge difference in sound. So that was after reverb. Let's try that first in the chain. A lot more controlled. So you have to consider, do I want to make that reverb a space or part of the tone of it? So I do kind of like that it blooms up like that. And these are just default settings. You could always scale it back. Sometimes I really like what it does to the high frequencies. It doesn't always work, but when it works, it's very cool. So let's take this again. Let's stretch it. So I guess this is a normal speed now. Okay. Let's do a pitch envelope on the next one. So maybe it starts there and it goes up a bit in pitch. Maybe not 30 semitones, but screw it. 20 semitones at the peak of this sound, roughly. Oh yeah, let's just quickly take a look at a one of the preferences. Editing behavior, envelope display, per take envelope range. I've got 30 semitones. I forget what the default is, might be 12. But if you want extreme sound design ranges, I want to try that. Okay, so and OTT first. And no reverb. I like that one. So lots of pitch adjustment can be really cool. It's hard to grab that envelope point sometimes. Pretty cool. Uncheck, preserve pitch. And yeah, so there's lots of different ways of doing it. It makes a difference whichever way you choose. Okay, so I like that. I'm not really liking the reverb on it anymore, but we could always make it shorter. It is quite a long reverb. Let's bring that down to like 500 milliseconds. Let's take a quick diversion and get this original sound down here. And we'll take a reverb. I guess we could take this this reverb. It's probably fine. Okay. So we've got this plugin on the track. Let's do a volume envelope. So it's more like something like that. Let's put the mix at 100%. Or let's put the mix at 50% and the early reflections all the way up. Sometimes there's really interesting sort of comb filtering kinds of sounds you can get there. So it's almost like pitch shifting it. So if you had that sound and then run that through the other chain we had with OTT and other stuff, how's that sound? What if we take that and reverse it and change our envelope to rise up? Maybe like this. So another common thing for experimenting with sound design, if you want to call it, is just reversing sounds. Quick way of doing that in Reaper, double click, hit this reverse button in media item properties, and you can reverse it. You can also do that on a shortcut. There's a few different actual reverse actions. The one I use is X-Ray toggle selected active takes reverse preserving snap offset. Snap offset is the thing at the front of the item that allows you to snap to grid in a different place from the left edge, like that. And when you reverse it with his action, it keeps it in its relative position instead of staying at the start of the item or being lost. So reversing a sound can completely change how it feels. So let's make some room. Let's take this, reverse it, add a fade. Of course, fades are important too, but I do also like to use the volume envelopes a little bit more. So it can be more like bubbly this way. I don't know, that sounds more bubbly than this one. It's interesting. Bathtub fart. Yeah, kind of sounds like that. Let's take this sound and let's do an effects chain that is just a bunch of OTTs. How's that sound? Oh yeah, without the envelope. Okay, so you see here at the end, it runs for a while and then stops. If you want to fix that, that is actually in the playback setting. No, it's in one of these. I always forget where it is. Buffering. Take effects tail length. I've got 1 second set there, but you could set that to 3000 for 3 seconds. And it'll run a lot longer. If we move this whole chain to the track, we wouldn't need to worry about that because it just runs infinitely. Or maybe not. Maybe I did that wrong. Yeah, maybe it just doesn't want to run much longer. Let's add the reverb to the track. And that sounds like this. Huh, it actually doesn't make much difference. Usually it does. So that's a totally different sound. So let's say we want to keep that sound and then work with it further. If we right click, there's a bunch of options like apply track effects to items as new take. Let's do that. And so we get this file, which can be used elsewhere. And let's set it to only show one take. Let's go to the previous take. So now we have that sound committed, and we can manipulate that further with fades or envelopes, or again turn this into sort of a let's do it with the volume envelope. Let's turn this into more of a whoosh kind of thing. Or we could take just a little bit of this. Let's take that much and make this a really short sort of we'll take that sound, then we'll add some reverb. First reverb, I was going to say first reverb that comes up and I didn't like the first one. Let's try reverbate. Yeah, kind of like that. Let's go to EQ. So let's add in re-EQ on this. Let's see if we can pull out some interesting sorts of sounds in this. So I can see there's a peak kind of centered around, what is that, 700 hertz? Let's see what happens if we pull that out completely. So there's one at 700 hertz. What if we take 700, make that 1400, maybe a little less. Let's go another octave up. So 1400, 2100, and boost that. And Is that making sense? I'm kind of doing like harmonics for that sort of fundamental sound there. And let's take one more. Let's take 2400. Does that make sense? Yeah. And if I flip these, you know, you can get interesting sounds like that with making a bunch of notches or boosts. We could go down octaves too. So we could say 350 hertz. We give it a boost. And then this one was 1400. So that's a thing you can do. You can kind of find resonance in things and then boost in octaves. Or you could just sweep, find something cool. So right there is something that's kind of interesting. Something sort of fizzy. What if we just isolate that? And so you can make a layer with just that sort of sound. Or find something else that's similar. Maybe like water, fizz, or something like that. Some sort of hiss sound that you layer in. How about doing like a bass boost? Like, what's a good way of doing a bass boost for a sound just with EQ? I like to do these resonant low shelf in Reaper, but you could set it to high pass, a resonant high pass filter. And so you're cutting off at the same time as boosting directly above it. So obviously there's too high, but somewhere in here there's sort of just a sound where it sounds bigger. So around there. And then you might take band 2 or 3 and do a little cut right after. So you could make it mathematically related to the first one or not. So first one's at 59.8. You could set this at 120 and do a little cut at 120. Or instead of that resonant low cut, set the bandwidth there, you could do a boost at like an octave higher. Which can kind of help with the smaller speaker thing. There are also dedicated plugins for bass generation, like Waves has a couple of them, Low Air and R Bass and Max Bass. The one I've got is from, what's that company called? Unfiltered Audio. I've got Basement. And there's a bunch of different modes. I do kind of like the saturate mode on this. It's pretty cool. Bunch of options, but you can get a lot done with just the re-EQ. I might like resonant low pass and that boost. And then let's also do, let's grab band 2 here. If you don't like that whistly sort of sound here, you can change that to a notch. Pretty simple. So I was thinking like Space Gun. Let's render this again. And when you render, you do need to take off the fades. Actually, do I? Oh, with that method of rendering, you actually lose the fades. So we're going to do this another way. SWS time selection render tracks to stem tracks obeying time selection. I'm going to run that. So that renders out a version that has the fade and the EQ and reverb applied to it. So that sounds like this now. Sounds the same. Let's do sort of like a burst sort of sound. So if it was like a gun, you would have a few sort of burst and individual sounds. You would definitely have this on different layers so you can add movement to it, but this might be just like one of many layers. So let's keep that in mind with this. Maybe we can find another like low end sound that we can layer in there. That sounds more machine gunny. But with a... Should we go back to any of these previous sounds, or is there any particular effect you want to explore, different techniques? Yeah, just to review, I laid out a sound. We tried different lengths, shorter and longer. See if there's anything that kind of jumps out and is a sound we want to explore further. Used the item fades or item take envelope to turn the same sound into a whoosh. We used the pan envelope to add left and right motion. With the automation item, you can make that a LFO. So it's more of a fluttery kind of effect. From there, adding in things like distortion and delay. One of these has multiple OTTs. That's this one here. And we're not even like looking at special plugins made for sound design. Infiltrator, the Sound Toys, Effects Rack. What else is there? Snap Heap, things like that. Sandboxes for sound effects. I kind of want to go over some of the workflow steps that I often see sound designers use, and some of the common tools, including some of the stuff built into Reaper and free plugins that you can use just to get lots of variations from a simple sound. Should we move on? Let's move on. I've used the HTTP remote control with my tablet or phone, but sometimes I would like to have a global hotkey for transport control or when I have my UAD console window in focus. MIDI controller is the other way to do it globally. There are global shortcuts for Reaper, but I don't know if they work when you're in a different app. Does anyone here consider themselves a sound designer? I'd like to know what's like the first thing you always do? If you don't know what to do with the sound, what's your go-to? For me, OTT or some sort of distortion always kind of gets things flowing a little bit. Either it sounds great or it sounds terrible. It's a step forward, but so much can be done with just fades, volume envelopes, reversing, all those sorts of things. No such thing as a go-to because everything goes. Yeah, but you got to decide on one. Like, there's another effect that I really like. One of the Reaper JS effects. I can never remember if this is one that I customized myself. There's an autopan, Tremolo autopan. This effect is really cool. We got this sound. So it's a cool sound for sure. That sort of fluttery thing was what I was going for with this thing, but it's really not fast enough. So this is going at 7 hertz. Anyway, that's one of my favorites. If I had a sound design sort of shortcut thing, that's something I would definitely try. Random patching, not much of a sound designer, but if I'm messing around, I like to use reverb, delay, stretch, EQ, OTT, sausage fattener for color and fatness. Yeah, sausage fattener is a good go-to as well, I think. Putting a limiter on the master is probably a good thing to start with. So, what else would you guys like to do today? Biome's great. They've got some amazing presets in there. I should get back into that. Biome, Snap Heap, Infiltrator. There's so many cool sounds in there. What I do is just do random stupid things and slap OTT on it. Yeah. And don't forget about that script, Permutator, FX Permutator. I did a video about this. It'll put random effects and random settings on your tracks. It's been a while since I've used this. Let's go back to our original sound here. Oh, I only did 2 variation. Let's do 5 and 8 random all. Okay, so let's see what this did. So I selected some effects and it's randomly selected which ones to put on. And we just need to enable the effects chain. Okay, that one for some reason has no sound. And I don't know why. You can have it not disable the effects every time, but depending on the effect, it can be kind of noisy. Kind of cool. So So that can be a quick way of, you know, just getting some interesting starting points. It's pretty quick to audition those without taking any, like, you don't have to think about making a chain. It can just kind of do it for you from some of your favorite plugins. So let's do that again. Let's do another one. Same source sound. This is from Team Audio, by the way. And I have an interview with the creators of this. Let's remove all of those. You can also have different collections. I never saved a collection. Let's just give it access to all Kilohertz plugins except for Snap Heap. Let's try it as media items. Kind of does the same thing. So it should be random effects on what, 5 kilohertz plugins. That's pretty cool. This is a go-to for some sound designers for game audio. Let me try to find that video. Yeah, if you want to check that out in more detail, it's on the website. All right, so I just got my RX10 Elements code. Is that going to be in native access or iZotope product portal? So it seems like about, within an hour of requesting the RX thing, you should get your code. So they did warn that as like a manual thing, but seems to be pretty quick, at least today. I've got RX 4, 7, 8, I have 9, and 10 elements. Some of these things, like the giveaways and stuff, you like sign up for it and then you forget about it, like for a week. Notice Reaper is super laggy during playback with certain plugins. Know of any settings to fix this potentially? It's hard to say. Mac, Windows, different plugins will use different GPU things. In Reaper, the only settings you can really change are like the buffers, the meter refresh rate. But I have noticed that as well. Depends on the plugin. On Mac, Autotune is crazy laggy. I haven't used Autotune in a really long time, so I don't really know what you could tweak for that. One thing I noticed recently was there's a setting in Reaper on Mac. Since you're on Mac, there's these settings here. Throttle mouse events, wheel, swipe, and move. Might try changing those settings. See if any of these make a difference. I don't know why it makes a difference, but it seems to. I think they should be off by default. For example, move, I notice makes a difference with the play cursor. Someone was asking, do I keep all versions of RX installed? I usually don't. On this computer, I can only use 9, 10. I don't know if, is there 11? Version 9 or 10. I was totally fine with RX7. I would have stayed with RX7. But you have to pay for upgrades for Mac. Anyway, quit. Of course it doesn't fucking quit when you press quit. That should be illegal. All right, we're gonna add effects, scan for new plugins. Never mind upgrading RX's use every day. Yeah, I use it a lot as well. Podcast editing, it's absolutely essential. Most of my videos have a bit of it. Well, this year I've been doing it more, doing some noise reduction just on my mic. So I've got this and this running all the time. So I don't really record my voice without effects too often anymore. But without, I do quite a bit of noise reduction. You got RX9 Advanced when they had either their crazy sale or serious screw up. And they got most of their plugins or all of the plugins for $200. Way less than the RX9 Advanced alone. They'll do things like that sometimes. Often new users get better deals than the loyalty offers. I've been buying RX since version 4, and yeah, the upgrade offers are usually like 200 or like 800 for advanced. Okay, so new plugins: declick, declip, hum, de-reverb, repair assistant, and voice denoise. So let's check these out. Let's just add all of them. I am glad that it is separate plugins. I didn't expect that, actually. I thought with RX Elements, I thought you only get the repair assistant. On the website, it seemed like you only get this plugin. I mean, yeah, if you get the separate plugins, cool. That's definitely worth it then. For sound design, what I found is the declick plugin can be really cool when you do it in Delta. The output clicks only. Let's take this. So sometimes you can get some interesting sounds from that. If you want like those crackly sounds for some reason. And let's find the other RX plugins. What's the other one? Decrackle. Like if you're trying to design insect sounds, running output crackle only or something like that can be pretty cool. I never remember to use the guitar denoise. I've actually never used it. But my most used are voice denoise, declip, mouth declick. I almost never go into the standalone mode. Yeah, that's a good point, Davi. I don't usually upgrade every year. It's pretty good stuff. I think they put out new versions way too often. I don't feel like I really get my money's worth if I upgrade every year. And yeah, it gets expensive. I couldn't really even point to anything there in the between version 9 and 10 that is any different. It's 11:30. Should probably wrap up here, actually. I'm getting hungry. I need to make bread. Any last minute questions? Maybe 5 more minutes of hangout, and I do need to go. What's for food? What's my lunch today? I don't really know. I don't have anything ready. I might fry some ham and potato patties. Probably the thing to do. 85% discount on Mixbox from IK Multimedia at Audio Plugin Deals. $30, down from $199. Kind of interesting. I did a video about free version of Mixbox. If you don't have any effects racks things, maybe a good time to get into that. It's kind of like a custom channel strip sort of thing. So the free version, you get 8 slots and you get a small amount of plugins, but most of them are disabled here. And yeah, amps, channel strip, a limiter, delay. So it's just, you get more features. These are basically the same effects that are in Sample Tank. And some of them are taken from, or they're sort of like stripped down versions of the T-Racks or the Amplitude effects, but just presented in a different way. And I think every parameter is automatable and stuff like that. It's not a terrible plugin. I think it works pretty well. What it is kind of lacking is like series parallel paths and things like that. So, I mean, it gives you some new options. $30, maybe worth a try. I wouldn't say it's worth 200. For 30, it's cheaper than a single effect pedal. I'd still probably go for the Stomp Box if that was my option. by multi-effect software or one limited piece of hardware, I'd probably go with the hardware. I don't know why. Not Terrible is a good review. I showed some things you could do with it when I did review it. I don't have experience with the full package of Mixbox. I don't know if there's a lot more that they've added that I haven't seen, but I have most of the T-Rax modules that I do like. So I just tend to use those more. I don't love the T-Rax stuff. I like it a lot, but it could be better. I like that it's a easy layout. It looks like the hardware. I know how to use it because I've used the hardware before. Everything works the way it does. It's cool. Sounds good. Adds in easy features like the all buttons in mode. That's cool. There's an off mode where you're only getting the transformers of the 1176. Stereo, left channel only, right channel only, mid side. What you don't get is independent control over left and right or mid side from hardware or automation. It would be something that's very easy for them to implement. I think just duplicate all the parameters for left and right if they're unlinked. I think that's an easy thing. There's also no sidechain on any of their plugins. The full T-Rax, the older versions used to have serial and parallel paths, and the current version does not. T-Rax 5 Suite. There used to be a way to have series and parallel processing, and it doesn't seem to do that anymore. Oh, I'm wrong. They do allow that. It used to be a little different. I guess this is fine. I take it back. That's fine. Sidechain would still be useful. If you like the effects in Sample Tank and you want to use them for more than just the samples, just that instrument, then Mixrack is everything you would want. If you go to Reaper.blog, search for Mixbox. Yeah, that was a year ago. A little bit more than a year ago. I don't remember any of it. That's enough. I am hungry. I said I was going to go, and I'm actually going to go this time. Okay, so yeah. Thank you so much for participating in this live stream today. I had a good time. Hope you did as well. We will do this again next week. I'll try to have a bit more of a plan of what to do. Maybe there will be some Reaper news. I don't know. Hungry, tired, and got stuff to do. I won't keep you any longer. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.